what I'm saying is someone's still gonna win, and it might be if just
I know.
half the field, just about half the field is playing badly. With golf, you can easily say, "Oh, the course must be hard. They're all playing bad." You know what I mean? It all kind of comes back to earth a little bit.
Sergio has been like, I can't wait to leave this place. Rah, 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 rah.
Yeah. And good evening. Welcome to Divots and Pivots. We know it's your favorite place to be every Tuesday night. I know it's our favorite place. So welcome, as always, into the show. And as always, we want to quickly thank our sponsors, Piper Golf, as always, coming in clutch for us. Go to piper.golf, take the test, find the golf ball that suits you. Use DivPiv, that's DIVPIV, at checkout for a 10% discount. Tell them Divots and Pivots sent you. And then, as always, we're rocking the Mala Bros hat. Our merchandise t-shirts are going to be here real soon. I can't wait to be wearing it on the show for you. They will be here shortly. So go to malabros.com. Check out all of their clothing. They're fantastic, comfortable golf shirts, and as well as our merch, the Second Ball All-Americans. We're going to have the discount code playing across the bottom of the screen here shortly, but same thing, DivPiv, DIVPIV, for 10% off over at malabros.com. And as always, we have Mr. Bud Copeland here with us on the show. Good evening, Bud.
We got a few things right off the bat. I'm giggling because it took me 3 weeks to realize what you meant about the intro music and that little extra. I mean, it's reminded me of when Vanilla Ice was trying to differentiate between his intro and Queen's Under Pressure. It was so subtle that it did take genius to finally recognize it, and I heard it there because I was actually paying attention. I was cringing the first time I heard myself going meh, 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 about Sergio because we went out to LIV, saw him, and he was nice. He smiled, he waved, he was human, nice. But enough time has passed that he's not human anymore.
Especially after it was just too good to take out.
Well, it's appropriate. That's about on par, but. He did earn the meh with his behavior over at Wentworth. The guy withdrew after one round, and then was. Oh, I know. I don't blame him for going to the college football game afterwards, but I mean that's a bad look.
Yeah.
And the rumor has it there could be some repercussions. The circumstances around that withdrawal and the effects that it had, there might be some sort of fine or whatever. This could all be a moot point. As we're going to talk about a little bit later, there's been some developments in the LIV world. We're looking forward to getting into that with our good new friend Hardy from 98.5 Sports Hub. Looking forward to him stopping by in a little bit. But serious, real talk. And we're going to talk a little bit about the PGA Tour up front, what's going on there. It's President's Cup. We love team golf, but the real important thing that we need to get out there early is I shot 68 again last weekend. I'm very proud of that. I should be. I should have had a celebration sound ready to play for that. I apologize. Hold the celebration. There were some alternate tees in use. There were some holes that were shortened significantly. But it was a nice little reminder that the old boys still got it. There's still that gear. There's still that gear. So yes, it's going to be a fun show. It's going to be a fun hour. We look forward to chopping it up with Hardy later, specifically about LIV. But before we go any further, President's Cup. You nailed it. It's here. You were talking about it before we got on the show, and you were pointing out the fact America's got nothing but top 25 world golf ranking talent. The internationals are a bunch of sure. I mean, you've got. I always say be leery. The record isn't our favor. I think the internationals won at 98. We went halvesies in 09 or something like that, somewhere around there. Yeah. And the rest of the time, it has been a good old-fashioned Yankee Doodle beatdown. And so I think it's gonna. I do think it's gonna be like that again. I don't see Rudy playing out after what happened in Whistling Straits. And I don't want to go LIV right off the bat. We won't go too deep, but their absence, I don't think is going to take away from it. I think it might be I don't think it's going to be mentioned in the coverage at all. You don't talk about that kind of stuff when your focus is here in the now. But even in the Twitter sphere, even in the Chirpa sphere, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal because I mean, look, next man up. There's a lot of talented freaking golfers out there. And so the President's Cup, once again, international competition, we look forward to it. You know, the money all goes to basically charity and awareness, and they are playing for country pride and reputation. And speaking of, real quick anecdote, that it was floating around. I don't know if you saw this. Did you see the Fred Couples thing about the envelope?
I did
when he
not
was
see the
captain?
Fred Couples, no.
So I might have the year wrong, but it was in the late or early aughts. What are the aughts? Is that when it starts with a 1? There's like the aughts and the 10s. I don't know. It's the early 2000s, late 2000s. Whatever Freddie Couples was captain, this is a great move. So for folks unfamiliar with the format, it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They play some team ball on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, an amalgamation of foursomes, 4-ball, which foursomes are alternate shot. 4-ball is what we would call best ball out or better ball out at your weekend round with the boys or girls or both. And then on Sunday, they play singles. Well, what happens if you got 12 players? They're all going to play on Sunday, and then one guy comes up with a hamstring or, gets the vid and has to sit out. So there's somebody else in the other team's going to have to sit out, and you don't want any kind of showmanship or tricksmanship or whatever the hell it's called. So you put a name in an envelope and you seal it the night before or at the beginning of play or at the beginning of the week. And you hand that to the official. And in the event that transpires, they open it up, they pull the name out, and that person has to sit on Sunday. So they win. They're in the locker room, and the official walks in to the USA team with the envelope because afterwards, if it's not used, you give it back to the captain. If they want to reveal it, great. It's up to them. And so Freddie says, he looks up at the guy and he just says, "Hey, well, you want to show him the name?" And he goes, "What?" He's like, "Open it." And he opens it, and the guy looks at his name, and his eyes get this freaking big. And he goes, "Read it." It says Tiger Woods. And everybody looks at him and are you so just so we're clear here, they were just blindly going to say, do you know the realm of possibility? Look at Will Zalatoris wins the first FedEx Cup event and then out on the third hole. That could have been no Tigre on Sunday. And so everybody's like, man, that's, there's a big balls move right there. Freddie's talking about for years. He's dining off this. Turns out it was a whole joke. He had somebody else's name in there and he just wanted to mess with the team. And so he got access to the envelope before, changed the name to Tiger Woods, and then played a prank on the guy. But for a few years there, he had them all. Dude, but the thought of that, I can't believe that he actually got the buy-in because I think the first question would have been, are you serious? No.
Yeah.
Good one, Cap. But the fact they had the buy-in from him, I think that's hilarious. And I can't wait to hear whatever that story is going to be this week. What has already happened with Trevor Immelman on the international side so that next week when I'm eating crow, hearing about a Sunday miracle, we hear that's the beauty of these kind of competitions. And I'll tell you what, that is why those guys who are going to be on fishing boats instead of on their, wearing red, white, and blue or the navy and gold, there's that understanding of, it's not fair. Fair schmear. We'll get into that in a little bit. But President's Cup, Quail Hollow, you looking forward to it? What's your favorite thing you're looking forward to?
Well, I am looking forward. And look, the one guy who was not happy about not being able to play in the President's Cup was Louis Oosthuizen, and he was pretty vocal about, I believe his specific comment was, I did nothing wrong, so I don't know why I shouldn't get to play. It was something that I'm paraphrasing the exact quote now, but it was something along those lines. I just went, that's someone who's taking it personal, and I get it. But as we've talked before, these business lines, they were decisions everyone made knowing that there were consequences. You deal with it. It's just going to be a temporary thing, most likely here anyways. But look, my favorite thing about the President's Cup, about the Ryder's Cup, about Olympic golf is honestly is watching the fans, even from TV. The golf is great, but watching the interaction of the fans and how rowdy they get around and how the players kind of jar back and forth with the fans and really use that energy to push forward. That's what I love, even from a TV standpoint. I love watching that experience. It gives that different side of golf for me that we typically only see it the waste management out there at the gallery. So yeah, I love the fan experience with these types of things. Obviously, the golf is great in a different format, and you see the guys sometimes play a little looser, but the fan experience for me is just something I love to watch.
Yeah, you got the boys shotgunning beers on the first tee at the last Ryder Cup. And as you pointed out, the experience, I love that you said, yeah, of course we're going to see good golf, because we saw that when we went out to Bolton with LIV Boston, where it's yeah, you got world-class golfers, but sorry, Mr. Norman, we've got world-class golfers over here, and we don't know. We don't know who's going to be that next one, But back to what you were talking about with the energy that a team experience brings, I think that is what you're going to see next year with the PGA Tour with some of these not increased purses. I still don't think that them getting richer makes my socks roll up and down.
No.
And we'll talk about Mr.
We'll get
Zalatoris
there.
and his comments in a minute. But really to kind of bring in some more interesting or creative status, I guess. I don't know how you're going to build it up, but putting a bigger spotlight will help somewhat. But nothing touches true team play. These guys aren't getting paid, but you see all these stories about guys like Max Homa who've been dreaming of a President's Cup spot because he grew up in a different era. This thing, I remember the first President's Cup back in my day. And I mean, seriously, I do remember. And with the overwhelming dominance, it felt like it was a joke, but I don't know. I think there is more to it. These guys take it seriously. Seeing Tiger lead his team and be a player captain and win, a couple of years ago was a big. I think it kind of put this event back up in that status that it needs to be in.
Yeah.
And if the internationals can you see a sub theme that I got going here? If the internationals could somehow pull an upset, I think for the game of golf, writ large, that would be the ultimate win. I'm not saying I want Americans to lose. I don't need the chirping to come in of like, all right, traitor, like all that kind of stuff. Send the hate mail to him. But over there. But I do think that there's going to be more to this weekend than meets the eye. I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park because the difference in talent when you get to this level is minuscule. We've talked about that before. It's mindset and grit, because all these guys can bomb it. All these guys have phenomenal short games, that can kind of come and go. We stay so focused on the top, not even 1%, like the 0.00001% of golfers on the planet, and that includes amateur. That's who we spend all our time focusing on. There's not a whole lot of difference for one weekend. That's what we're talking about here too. We're talking one weekend. There's not a whole lot of difference in talent. There's difference in notoriety. There's difference in rankings. There's difference in, familiarity. But again, when you talk about the nuts and bolts of what it takes, moving this little ball from A to B, and you introduce the team aspect where chemistry, look over the years, if it was that simple, then Americans would never lose. There is a slight, bias in the rankings towards PGA Tour golf, which lives in America. So there's always this feeling like, they're going to win again. Here we go. They've got X, Y, and Z in the top 10. But broaden your horizon, step back a little bit. They're all really effing good golfers. And at any given moment, any combination, all it takes is 5 or 6 of these guys to find lightning in a bottle for a weekend. And, we're sitting here eating crow next week. And I would be okay with that. I'm not against eating crow if it's cooked well.
Well, and that's the thing. Like always with golf, it's often about who's hot at the right time. And that you mentioned that it would be good for golf, even though you're not saying you want the U.S. to win it, if the internationals could pull the upset. They don't even have to pull the upset for it to be good for golf. As long as it's close and entertaining coming down to the end on Sunday, then I think that's going to be great for golf. Because look, yes, the U.S. has all of their guys in the top 25. But let's be honest, Max Homa, we were just talking about Max Homa. He's coming off the win at Fortinet. He's, ranked number 6, you could say, on the team, 16th in the world on the U.S. team right now. But he's probably the hottest golfer on the U.S. team at the moment. Obviously there's Justin Thomas, Patrick Cantlay, Xander Schauffele. But these are guys who we haven't necessarily heard a ton from this year.
No, but you used the right word, hottest. He's a good-looking
exactly.
kid. I'm not gonna lie. He's an attractive young man. I got a little bit of a man crush on Max Homa. Real talk. I'm not ashamed to say it. He would look really stunning in a second ball All-American t-shirt. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, the second ball All-American.
You read my mind, and you said the right guy at the right time. And he is this would be a big weekend for him if he has a nice big weekend, because the other guys on the team, we know Colin Morikawa, major winner, ×2. Scotty Scheffler, we saw the year that he just had. Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth. These are names that have been in your house for. It dates me and makes me feel old to say that Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth. But then again, they were national names back when they were teenagers on the golf scene. So they've been around forever. Max Homa, this could be that moment where we see, his Lady Gaga, a star might be born here, and I'm looking forward to it. That is the one story that I really do want more. See, red, white, and blue. I want more wins, and I would love to see him kind of take that mantle and run with it, because it was cool to hear him talk about the Fortinet. I like how you emphasize that, the Fortinet championship.
Emphasizing it because I want to make sure I didn't say it wrong, honestly.
Oh, or you saw, or sound like me, the Fortinet. But back to the Fortinet, Danny Willett. It's not Willett, but Danny Willett. His comments afterwards, somebody was like, "How did it feel to three putt from 3 points or 3 feet 7 inches?" And he was kind of smiling and like nodding his head. And he's like, "You know what? Honestly, I didn't expect to even be up there. It's the first one out of the gate." And it blew my mind to go pause. His brain, like we think just like, the next week, because it's the next week of golf. He's like, no. This is first one out of the season. And I'm in the running, and second place isn't too bad. That means I'm there. And I was going, whoa, because honestly, I want him to be devastated, because 3-putting from 4 feet looked devastating. But I guess the whatever 1 million that he gets as a runner-up prize helps. But Max Homa was talking about how he kind of felt in the zone. He had that moment of zen, and he's getting this weird self-confidence that he kind of thought, I'm just going to dunk this chip. I'm short-sighted, so I've only got one option, and it came to fruition. So do you think that we're going to see Max Homa take that next step and kind of flourish this weekend? Or will there be another storyline from the American side that you see push forward? Because I'll even tell you this, the media that's out there right now, again, could just be his pretty face, is pushing the Max Homa stories.
I think it's the most plausible out of all the guys that are on the U.S. side. I think Max Homa, one, like I said, is probably the hottest player right now. His playing, not his looks. But yeah, no, I think it makes sense. Obviously, you got Kevin Kisner, who always shows up in these pairings and in this format type of golf. So, look, Kevin Kisner always becomes a story, Ryder Cup, President's Cup, whatever, because he always just shows up and surprises people. Even though I don't know why people are surprised, he does it every time.
Well, he's just a story at the Ryder Cup because he's getting. Pardon my language. I know where we want this demographic to grow. He's usually a story around the Ryder Cup because he's getting passed over. Yeah. And being told, sorry, better luck next time. And this is kind of like, I think we have seen him and we've seen him in President's Cup before. We've also seen him rack up the match play. And if you see, there's a great interview with him out there. They talk. That's about,
what I meant. The match play. Not that you're right. I misspoke.
Right. No, I know. I'm busting your balls over here. But he was talking about how in match play you eat people's souls. And I love the way he explained it, because I was in a little grudge match with the boys this weekend, and we won the front, lost the back, and then lost overall on the last hole. And it hurt. It hurt worse. I mean, I shot 68 and I lost on the day. It was like did I mention I shot 68 last weekend again?
You did mention really good. Yes.
But back to Kevin Kisner and eating souls. He talks about how, I put it left in the rough and then maybe in the bunker, and then hit a bunker shot to 15 feet, and I sink my par putt. And my partner, meanwhile, or my opponent, 300 down the middle, 12 feet for birdie, lips out, makes his par. And in his mind, he's infuriated because, like, what just happened? How did I not walk away with that? And I think that's the dog you need in these battles, pun intended. Go Dogs, Georgia boy. So I love that you brought him up, because I'm excited to watch him. Billy Horschel. Notably without his hat, and he had his beautiful hair, quasi, I'd say, not to go political, but Gavin Newsom-ish, the California governor, who's got a magnificent dome of hair. Tony Finau is always fun to watch and pay attention to. And then everybody else, I think we're there just to watch them play. No offense to them. I mean, Justin Thomas is good for a few laughs here and there, but the rest of them are kind of,
we already know they already have their stories. Like, nothing's gonna be like new.
I totally forgot Patrick Cantlay was on our team. I thought he was Canadian with that personality.
But I'm glad you bring up the internationals again, because you mentioned how you need that guy with that kind of. You were alluding to that edge and that dog in him. And this is why I don't necessarily count the internationals out from being able to make this a fight, because they do have some guys who have been playing well this year and who I think carry a little bit of edge with them. Mito Pereira is someone who he's making his first appearance here in the President's Cup. tied for third at the PGA Championship, and he's been playing good golf this year. Actually, over the last 2 years, he's been playing good golf. So he's someone who I think can show up here and show out a little bit. Taylor Pendrith as well is someone who in the last couple months here has been catching some eye. So look, I
love that name.
Do I think Taylor Pendrith can necessarily go toe to toe all weekend with some of the tops on the U.S.? No, but do I think that they might be able to swing some holes or swing a match here or there? Like, I think it's possible, and all you have to do is string a couple of those together. I mean, we've been saying all year how Hideki Matsuyama has been playing the best golf we've seen him play in a while, and then you still got
healthy, I think, again. Yeah,
you still got Sung J M, who has been just a master of consistency. He's going to be pretty much leading the team.
He came on tour, yeah.
Yeah, so there's guys on the internationals. Yes, they might not pop in the rankings. They might, majority of them, be outside of the top 25 in the official world golf rankings. But they're guys who kind of carry that edge with them in that fight, and they're gonna go out there and bring it. That's why I don't think we're gonna see the internationals get walked all over. Like, I think early story when the lineups first came out, I was guilty of it too. Looked at the two teams and said, "Oh, the U.S. is gonna, on paper, just trounce them and run away with this." And the more I look at it, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think this is going to come down Sunday. I think it's going to be close.
I don't think it's going to be close at all. I think it's going to be. I definitely think that's what. I mean, I know I've been tipping my hand on what I want in this world, but I also want world peace. And don't leave out Christian Zadenhosen, and I cannot say his last name.
I only left him out because I didn't want to fail his name.
No, but he can go off for 6, 7, 8 birdies in a round. And again, when you're talking about best ball, or that's the kind of guy you want out there. Somebody who can have that kind of gear. I think at the last Ryder Cup, it was kind of like watching Finau and Russell Henley. When one of them would get hot, you just knew that the other one was going to just be ready and just in case. He's that kind of consistency. I think it's going to be a royal ass whooping. No pun intended. No pun. Thank you. That's where I was going. No, too soon. I watched. Did you get up and watch yesterday morning?
No.
You're a bad fan.
I respect. All the UK citizens who are were feeling that and like what it means to them and their social construct. I 100% get that respect. I caught the highlights and the storylines, but. Look, I wasn't going to sit down and watch it all day for 2 weeks like a lot of people did here. No. That was not going to be me.
No, I was just laughing. I caught the highlights of the Queen's funeral on YouTube. I think it's going to be an ass. I think it's going to be an ass whooping. I really do.
The one president who took a selfie with the casket. I still haven't caught his name, but I heard them talking about on the radio. They were like, "Oh yeah, this guy, one of the world leaders of a smaller country, walks up when he goes to pay his respects and took a selfie with the casket."
YOLO. I mean, it's the Irishman who went and got the picture with Paulina. Basically same kind of principle.
What was his name? Dave. What was his name?
Davey,
and
I want to say Gavin or Garrett. But they were wonderful, wonderful, entertaining gentlemen. So back to the royal ass whooping that the Americans are going to lay on. I do think there's just too much firepower to be completely sports cliche-ish. But it'll be fun to watch. It'll give us something to be paying attention to. College football looks kind of this weekend, but actually, Florida Tennessee is kind of saucy. Especially if you're an SEC biased person like myself,
you know how much I love talking about college.
Love college football. I enjoyed watching you chirp in with your BC references when they were talking about LSU and Texas A&M. Ooh, poor Texas A&M.
If nobody knows what he's talking about, I was on the Corner Booth, I think 2 weeks ago, Corner Booth podcast, and on their Thursday night show. And they do a lot of college football talk, and I basically just sat there quietly, agree with everything they said, and then every now and then I just threw in a reminder that I was a BC fan, and none of it really mattered to me. So, that's what he's referring to there.
I do think it's great. Real quick, shout out to Fantasy National Golf Club for keeping it up this week. If you are looking to get some edge in your bets or even your trash talking, head on over to Fantasy National Golf Club. The Moose gets it. They understand what's going on, and they make me smarter. So imagine what they can do for you. I'm just a guy with a crooked tooth from Florida, but there's a conspicuous absence on the American team and it's Will Zalatoris, and
Mhm.
the skinny 1-iron without the grip slipped a disc. So happy I got that out appropriately. And he's recovering. Godspeed, Willie
Yes.
Z. We love you. Get better soon. But really, he's in the news not for his absence, but it's because he was giving an interview, and they did dabble into LIV. You
Mhm.
can't avoid it. It's there. I do think it's here to stay, but we'll kind of see how that plays out, or even if. But there was a comment you mentioned it earlier in the interview. You're like, what was it that he said that kind of is it's bouncing out there, and he got into the money.
Yes.
And what he was talking about is essentially what I said first go around, what Rory said when he said, we've already got the money. Offering us more money is not what we're looking for. Obviously, it is what some of the guys are looking for, and that's fine. But Will put it into perspective for a guy like him right now. He said, and this interview must have been given before he won, because he said, I've made over $10 million on tour, and I haven't even won a tournament. He's like, so if I claim that I'm underpaid, what does that say about me? I loved that because
it was so real and relatable, just so real. Sorry, I
Well,
stole your thunder. I am so sorry.
You will never. You are the lightning to my thunder. He is relatable in a way. Not anymore. He is relatable because he also, going back to when he talked about, are you going to take a week off? And he goes, I'm 25. I don't have kids. I don't have a wife. If I'm taking a week off just for me time, and he did kind of couch that with a mental health clarifier of like, I get that side of it. If you have to just get away, you get away. He goes, but as far as, worrying about burnout, maybe he should have taken a week off. I don't know, after slipping a disc. But the kicker was, he said, what would that say about me? That would say something if I was claiming to be underpaid in this position. And then he went on to say, what they're offering is more money. It's not life-changing money. And that gives you pause, because to each his own, right? I mean, God, to the dozens of fans listening right now, the kind of money that they're talking about is life-changing money no matter what. A seventh place finish on a tour event could be life-changing money for a lot of folks. But to his point, he's kind of saying, like, for a 25-year-old single guy, 10 million, 25 million, what's the difference? I mean, it's 15 million. I did the math myself. But in the long run, at 25, and he did say he doesn't disparage guys for going over there. He understands that, some of them, and he said, no disrespect, some of them are a little older, some of them had some injuries.
Yeah.
Some of them
That's exactly what I was going to bring up next. He brought up the age thing, not in a disrespectful way, but just as more of a reality check way. He was just being, the whole interview just seemed very real and genuine to me. And I think the more examples we hear of Willie Z talking out in public, the more sense you get that he just puts himself out there. There's nothing fake about that guy. And I love the energy he brings to the sport and to the kind of the way he carries himself. It's just fun.
Mr. Gilmore, I'm your caddy. I was talking to a colleague the other day, and they were getting at that this whole, I think it's ruining the tour. It's taking away from the tour.
Yeah.
And it was weird because I found myself defending LIV, which is perfectly fine. But at the same time, like, being kind of dismissive about it, which is like, it's limited. It is limited. There are limited spaces, which is why it's not going to be the end all be all. And which is why maybe Greg Norman is saying, who knows? Maybe we don't need to chat anymore. Maybe we're good over here.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that the major implication is yet to be determined. Obviously, we don't know what Augusta is going to say or anything like that. But even before our friend joins us here soon, I want to just dabble into what I was getting at this morning, which is Greg Norman out there, like you alluded to, flexing on the world, saying, we have the number 1 and 2 player in the world as is. We're the true champions of golf, and blah, 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 blah. And that's where I had to say, full stop, pause, hit the brakes, whatever you want to call it. You have a good product. You have an entertaining product. You have a fun exhibition style, golf match series that is just that for now. It takes time. People have to win this thing a few times, or it has to be played a few times to build tradition. You don't get, the tradition doesn't come over with the guys that you brought, and that's the unfortunate thing is that's not coming. You still have to build that. So I hear what he's saying, in that I took the people that, have held the mantle over there and I brought them over here and they are succeeding over here again. They must be the best still. I get the logic there, but I also go back to it's 54 holes. You're not measuring apples to apples here. You're taking a smaller sample size and, all this kind of stuff. It'd be like it would be like LeBron, KD, and take, James Harden and take half a dozen more of guys of parallel stature to Dustin Johnson, Phil Mickelson, and Sergio and all those, and have them go to a 3-on-3 league and then say, this is the real king of basketball over here.
Well, there's a reason. And there's a reason why the PGA tournaments have moving dates, because when the players approach these tournaments, they're approaching each day, depending on where they are, with a different strategy. When you cut that down by a day, like you're saying, it does change. You can't compare it apples to apples. It does completely change the way the golf is being played, because it seems more of like a just gung-ho, we're going for it every day kind of style. It seems like it takes a little bit of the strategy out of it from the full 4-day weekend standpoint.
The same person I was talking to said, yeah, but what about the team aspect? I said, all right, what about the team aspect? There's just like,
yeah.
And I said, you mean the bonus system? I mean, because that's honestly
it's really just what it is. It's just there for bonus money.
Yeah, it's no different than like when a sales team or sales program has a bonus structure of, if your team hits their goal, then there's another 3% kick in your bonus or something like that.
Yeah. Well, look, without further ado here, our guest is joining us now. So about to join us now, we do have Rob Hardy Poole, all known as Hardy across the land, man of many talents, Sirius XM Turbo, 98.5 The Sports Hub, and weekends on Sirius XM as again, Lithium, I believe it is, and Patriots.com. Welcome in, Hardy.
Yeah, wow, that's exhausting hearing all that. Don't say it all at once. Makes me think the last thing I should be doing is talking to a couple of knuckleheads about golf. I got too much other crap to do.
Never.
Well, thank you for joining us. I know you are busy and you came flying from another engagement to be with us tonight. So we are very thankful for that you joined us.
Seriously, my pleasure. Thank you for the invite. I do appreciate it. Thank you. Always happy to talk golf. So this. What have I missed? What have you done so far? Catch me up in 10 seconds or less.
We went through the President's Cup and why it's still going to be entertaining, and we talked about how it does hurt to 3-putt from 3 feet, whether it's for $1 million or it's for $2. And we discussed how Greg Norman's getting a little too big for his britches.
Okay, excellent. All right, well, it's your show. I'll let you guys run it, but it's just good to know what's been covered, and that way, if something goes along those lines, we revisit. I know you've already covered it in depth.
Absolutely. And you don't get much more in depth than, like you said, a couple of knuckleheads talking about golf. So honestly, the first question I had that I'd love to get your insight on, it was the same one that quick name drop. I asked Ari Fleischer when we bumped into him out in Bolton, was just quite frankly, what do you think? Is this thing going to make it? Is LIV going to live? Pun fully intended. I'm not ashamed of it.
Yeah, well, it's a good question. And I followed you guys a little bit, and I kind of know your thoughts on it. Now, I thought it was interesting that, one of your assessments was essentially that, this is a good product. And I guess that's the first thing I would take exception with maybe is I don't know if it's a good product. I mean, how are you consuming the product of LIV Golf right now would be my first question. For me, I haven't consumed it hardly at all because it's like on YouTube and you like click it on, and I'm not a fan of like the running tally of the team scores over on the left-hand side. And I'm like, I don't even know what I'm watching. Who's on what hole? What are we doing? Like, it's just, I'm not sure about the product itself. So I would take exception with, I don't know which one of you said it. So, maybe you share a brain. Maybe you guys huddle up and before you tweet anything out from the show account, you decide on what it's going to be. But in terms of its viability, I think it can last for as long as they want it to. They have a bottomless pit essentially of money and wealth to keep it going. There are two big things that don't get talked about. Number one, why are they doing it? Why did they start LIV Golf? That's number one. I guess the other thing is like, what's the real reason for the player defections? And I'll answer. I think I have an answer to the second question first. Well, what doesn't get talked about enough are the agents. The agents for these guys and their teams are saying, absolutely, DJ, you should go to LIV Golf. Don't worry about, your standing in the golf community. Who gives a crap? Take the $100 million check because they're getting a 15, 20% rip of that. And these agents, a lot of them are taking a 15 or 20% rip of the $120,000 every week because that's considered an appearance fee. That's not winnings. That doesn't all go to the players. So it's like the agents are the guys who are like pushing for this. And if you're an agency, I can't blame you. But the golfers themselves, I'm sure they gave it some thought. I don't know if they're being advised by the people who really have their best interests at heart. And I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think it can last? I think it can last as long as they wanted to or get bored with it or they accomplish whatever they set out to do with it. And I don't know what that is. I don't know if they just want to bury the PGA Tour altogether and have this become the thing, which seems a little far-fetched. I mean, I
don't see that happening.
And there's no way. I don't think that that's even remotely possible. I do think that they're looking for coexistence. And I was the one saying it was a good product in the sense of going out there and I'll explain what I meant by that because going out there and consuming it firsthand, that's what, going out and seeing it. That was one. I agree with you, B. Where the hell else are you seeing this? Yeah, the streaming aspect of it, they got to get a deal somewhere.
I haven't got on
board with that yet. I'm calling it a good product in the sense of I enjoyed myself. I can see it. I can envision it. I don't know about the viability of it. I mean that in the sense of like I tasted a nice craft beer for the first time. It might not have millions in sales and all that kind of stuff, but I was like, damn, that's a really good beer. As a golf fan, I was like, that's good. I can get behind this concept of almost NASCAR meets Premier League over in golf. If that's their ultimate dream is to find investors for each one of these teams and have the Niblets have 7 guys on a roster that they send your best 4 to each event throughout the years. So that's the creative vision that I can follow. I can buy that. I could actually see that growing,
which is great for you because you had a chance to consume it live and in person. I don't think LIV is interested in that. If they were, they would sell more than 6,000 tickets a day. That's also a local restriction. Bolton, the town, they couldn't get any more out there. But also, Greg Norman admitted he's just swallowed. They're lighting money on fire this year. Product launch year is what they called it, right? And so I think that's why they're not coming back to Bolton next year because they don't. They're not. It's not worth it. Well, that and there's no business model in the world that would support that launch year. They're going to be losing money on this for eternity unless they get some kind of a multi-network deal.
That's going to sign a network deal.
That's going to pay for that stuff. And even then, how do you make up for the couple $100 million that you gave to Phil and the $100 million that you gave to DJ and the millions that you're providing to these guys week in and week out and paying for the caddies and paying for the private jets and all that stuff? Again, I don't think it's to make money. And I guess I would disagree with that too. I don't think it's to peacefully coexist. It's got the feeling of a hostile takeover. It feels like they're coming in and they're just, it's hostile in that we have so much money. We're going to throw so much money at this thing. We're going to take some of the most marketable and viable players, guys that still draw. I don't care if you think if Bryson DeChambeau can win again, or if, DJ or even Phil, they draw. These guys draw. People like to see them play golf. And when they go after those guys, that's exactly what they're after. They're trying to take over golf from a popularity standpoint, but then they kind of shoot themselves in the foot by not having the TV deal and having it at golf courses where they don't allow that many people and not. I can't figure it out. I don't know why they're doing it, and it's just So
the one variable that always shoots these upstarts in the foot is, like you already pointed out, is money. And allegedly, if we go ahead and assume that yes, this endless money supply is there.
Yeah,
then it does feel like it is a Greg Norman personal fantasy, revenge fest against the tour where he tried to in the 90s. No, it does. And that's why I have a personal balance where I put a hat on where I'm as a golf, connoisseur. I'm like, this is fun. I think this is interesting. I personally love a shotgun start where you're going to go out there. There are so much about it that I love. And then Hardy, I 100% agree with you in the sense of there's so much of it that doesn't effing make sense, which is why I say things like, hey, Greg Norman, just because you had popular people win back-to-back, don't go out there puffing your chest saying, we're the new kings of golf. No, you're not. When Pat Perez tried to cheekily say, exhibitions don't pay $4 million. Hey, jackass, that's exactly what exhibitions do, is pay a lot of money without a lot of prestige or honor or tradition behind it.
Yeah.
So that's where I honestly, full admission, hadn't really considered the agent aspect of it. I do give a little too much, kind of like, you're a grown ass man, you signed on the dotted line. That said, God, I can't even freaking imagine that kind of pressure to make those decisions with those many factors and variables. I do think there's an element of Brooks and DJ and those guys who do have a little bit of, I just don't care anymore, which to me is kind of sad. I'm a fan, but that's what it feels like. I don't give an F, and I think that's why it's like good riddance, good on you. I do think it's interesting, but almost like so you're right. Good product might be a moniker I need to reassess. Much more interesting addition to the golf equation.
Yeah, and it certainly does. It's different. I give points for different all the time. It's like, just, let's do something new. Let's try this. I wonder how the shotgun start is going to play out if they do get a TV deal and you're watching that and everybody's finishing at the same time. I mean, the way these tournaments came down, there's the reason why there's so much drama, surrounding golf tournaments week in, week out. I mean, we just saw it. We just saw it on Sunday. Two guys coming down the stretch, playing a par 5 on the last hole. Okay, This is interesting. We saw what happened. We saw what happened at the U.S. Open with two guys come down the stretch with Fitzpatrick and Zalatoris. Someone's in a fairway bunker. What's going to happen? These are the last two guys on the golf course. What happened at the British Open? It's the last two groups coming in. What's going to happen? I don't know. We got 18 cameras out there from 18 different angles. And don't forget about the team aspect. And if you give me too much stuff to watch, my answer is going to be, well, now I don't care. I don't know. I don't know what the hell is going. It feels like watching Westworld after the second season. After a while, it was like, I don't know what the hell. Exactly. I don't know what the hell is going on. Therefore, I don't care. And that's what I think the failing could be with LIV Golf and this shotgun start and the team thing. I don't know. And you've made me not care. It's very easy for my pea brain to look at two guys coming down the 72nd hole of a 4-round golf tournament, knowing there's one stroke that separates them, and a birdie for one guy is probably going to be good enough to force a playoff. And that I get. I think that most golf fans consuming, the majors are casual fans. They're tuning in it. If they weren't, you would see huge numbers for the PGA Tour every week. Shotgun start, team aspect, 50. What are we doing? I don't know. I don't know until I'm able to watch it, and I'm not going to watch it, on this for any amount of time, and I'm not going to sit in front of, my computer watching it either. So I can pull it up on the smart TV and all that stuff. It's just whatever. The other golf tournament is on CBS. That's easy. 8:04. Enter. Done.
It's true. Well, and you mentioned, with the last two guys coming down, like the last two guys on the golf course aspect of that, like when you, from a TV broadcast standpoint as well, you get to see the fans like running to try. Everyone's trying to while the players are walking to their shots, there's countless camera shots of fans running, pushing in to get. So you kind of that energy kind of comes through the TV. And as a fan on the couch, you can't be there. You're almost watching and be like, oh, like I wish I was one of those people pushing people away, trying to get as close as I can. You're right. You do lose that when you don't feel like people there are as excited as you want to be sitting at home.
You guys remember that, watching Tiger at the Tour Championship a few years ago when, he's coming down, and even though he did, and again, this is a perfect example of the PGA Tour not being perfect. Him about to win this golf tournament and people mobbing the course, never mind the fact that he didn't win the FedEx Cup. That it just ended up winning the tournament that day. But that type of drama, that type of people like crowding onto the golf course, that's an aspect that'll be missing for a variety of reasons with LIV. But I guess that, that first most fundamental question, why are they doing it? And I don't know the answer. There's a lot of, some answers and theories are more nefarious than others, but I think at the end of this, you play the tape to the end. If they end up getting bored with it, or they accomplish whatever they're set out to accomplish, and then it just kind of fizzles up and dries up and goes away. Yeah, you're kind of left with the smoldering ruins of what happened with these guys. And we're missing out on some prime years from some very good players, because I do not believe playing 54 holes at Goofy Golf is going to, get these guys ready to go play the U.S. Open. It's not even going to get them ready to go play the Masters. It's just not. It's different.
No, and I agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly that it is goofy golf. It does have that feeling to it, which is why, like I said, I'm a golf nerd. Like, I'm a dork. I genuinely, I got a putting green right here. I got a screen in the backyard. The whole thing.
We all are. Yeah, all are.
Right, exactly. And so going out there and geeking out about it or flipping on my phone, I will say I agree with you that I told Andrew, I was like, I don't know what's going to happen Sunday, because going out to the 6th hole, that par 4, sexy 380 over, it doesn't do it for me, because again, the pageantry is not there. So it is a little bit too of, let the buyer beware. You know what you're getting when you tune in at this point, which is probably why they're topping out at 70, 80,000 streamers live on YouTube. And so it's going to be, I don't have a problem with watching these guys waste away. I hear what you say with some of these great players, and they could have some more good runs. Quite frankly, I don't care. I'm not cold about it, but there are so many good other stories that are going to come up, and, it does stink. I mean, I do think they did it for the money, but I think the most important thing that people might look back on, and I'm not saying this is good, you're right, there's going to be a smoldering pile of ashes where LIV used to sit, and then they're going to look up and they're going to see these increased purses, and it moved the needle. And it is going to generate, did the ends justify the means on the PGA Tour side? Where they tapped in, and will they bring the shorts over?
So, I mean, obviously,
I think free the legs.
What are we doing? I mean, I don't even like walking around watching a golf tournament wearing pants. I can't imagine how these guys do it.
But the real question, do you think the juice might ultimately be worth the squeeze, considering what they've already announced they're going to start doing?
They are being forced into it. Now, this is again like a basic argument. It's like, see, the PGA Tour, they were being greedy. They were, they did have more money. Their hand was forced on this. The PGA Tour is still a business with a bottom line, and they're doing this to try and get some of their guys to stay. I don't think it's a great business model for the PGA Tour to increase their purses and do all the stuff that they're doing it. And I don't know how viable that is. That's why I say the smoldering ruins. Like, if LIV fails, the PGA Tour is going to say, hey guys, remember all that stuff we did to entice you to stay? Now we're screwed. Now we need the money, and we're going to have to go back to the way things were a little bit in order to make the tour viable. And quite frankly, to have all these different stuff, I think the PGA Tour could do a lot. The fact that the new season started last weekend, I think, is ridiculous. But I understand,
going back to the calendar year, thank God.
I mean, I understand the reason for it. A lot of these guys need these early FedEx Cup points. They need the winnings in order to keep their card and do all this stuff. But that model is kind of broken. I think the FedEx Cup points model is broken. Starting somebody at 10 under par on the first day of the tournament, I think is stupid. I don't, there's some things that one I understand, and I still don't like it. I mean, like, there's different things that the PGA Tour still needs to address, but all the things that they've done in order to keep their guys happy, I don't know that they'll be able to keep doing them. The only reason why they did it is, like I said, because the money was so good from the LIV side. Well, we got to figure this out somehow. I don't know if they figured it out or if they just said, fine, we won't give as much to charity, and I guess we'll charge more for tickets, and we'll have to figure it out somewhere down the road. Hopefully they do.
I was about to say, because it feels like they're tapping into their savings to go after a new car payment. And it's like, wait a minute, that savings will run out, and you have more payments to come. Like, have we not thought this through here? And I do think that they are in a little bit of, we're going to float this and see what happens. The other change that I'm not going to say it forced, I don't think it forced anything. I think there was a little bit of coincidence, but I also do think it was like, well, we might not have come out this soon, but this new indoor TGL, the Tiger and Rory tomorrow indoor league, does that tickle your fancy at all, or does that register under the? That's
Goofy
too much.
golf.
I just can't. I can't.
Look, I understand. Again, let's talk about why they're doing it. Are they doing it to grow the game? Are they doing it to bring in other people? Maybe a little bit. I think mostly they're doing it so that Tiger can remain a viable entity in golf because he can't go out there and walk 4 rounds anymore. Yeah, he just physically can't do it. So what can we do? And Tiger, whether it's his idea, someone else's idea, how can I compete? And okay, that's some interesting. New is good. What are the new ideas? Some primetime stuff, some things on a Monday night or a Tuesday night. Wrap it up in a couple hours. You want to talk about goofy golf? That's good. This makes Top Golf look like the old course at St. Andrews. I mean, this is some goofy ass crap they're pulling with this. I'll watch it once, like I watched it live a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't blow my skirt up. I didn't. I just kind of stopped looking at it. I'll look at this. Maybe I'll like it. Maybe I won't. I won't know until we're able to consume it a little bit. But if you want to talk about the reasons why they're doing it, I think that's as much for Tiger as it is for growing the game or doing something for, the players who are staying on the PGA Tour.
It's a fantastic point. I hadn't even thought about it from that standpoint. I would just figured the way we've kind of looked at it is that this was a way of Tiger to almost transfer out of being a golfer and more into a leadership role within the tour. That was the feeling we were getting. But the point you made also makes a lot of sense. They're really trying to milk the most they can out of Tiger at this point because he is still probably their biggest drawer for TV events and live events.
Well, certainly for the casual fan, I work with Zolak every day, and Zolak still his mantra is if Tiger's not in it, I'm not interested.
Yeah,
I'm like, okay, well you're not a golf fan. Whatever. Let's we won't go down the Zolak route, but he's not alone. He's not a lone voice in the wilderness saying that. There's plenty of people. My son who is not into golf so much. It was a few years ago at the Dell Technologies when he was out there, and he's not into sports really like at all. But as he's out there at the golf tournament, and I'm working out there, and he asked me, he said, "Daddy, is Tiger here?" I said, "Yeah, absolutely, he is." He said, "Can we go see him?" You're damn right we can. I was packed up and ready to go. Right. I'm like, nope. Here, I'm going to show you how the pairings work. See, he teed off at that point. So that probably means he's making the turn right about now. We're going to walk backwards on the course, and we're going to go find him. And I'm going to pick out a spot. And we did. And we picked out a spot, green side on a par 3 on the back 9 at TPC. And we waited. And it's like, is that him? Like, you'll know when it's him. Another group comes by. Is he one of those guys? You'll know when it's him. And sure enough, like 3 groups, we're waiting. And then this swarm of people comes up. And I mean, at the risk of sounding, like an idiot, the air changes, the energy changes.
He's not real. There's a glow around him.
There's like, there's a few hundred people, walking around with each gallery, and all of a sudden 5,000 people, move toward the tee box, and another 5,000 are lining just the de facto fairway on this par 3, and there's 5,000 more around the green. It's like having the TD Garden just like moving around a golf course with you when Tiger is out there. And sure enough, we got a great spot, and you walk by us, and I was like, "Yeah, you see?" And he's like, "Yeah, I get it." I'm like, "Of course you get it." That's a casual fan's reaction to Tiger. He still moves the needle. Now, this is a few years ago. I don't think it's changed all that much. Who's taking his place? Who's the big name now that would draw that kind of attention? Well, unfortunately, it has to be the greatest player to ever play the game, and that's Tiger, in my opinion.
I mean,
and what you pointed out, as Tiger said it too earlier when you were saying the PGA Tour's hand was forced after Phil got in trouble and got his mouth kind of out in front of him and everything, and he went away for a while. Tiger had his tournament, and they asked similar questions of what do you think's going on about this, that, and the other. And he kind of cheekily echoed that Phil has some points to what he was saying, but in true Phil fashion, he was saying it like Phil, because he was alluding to things like he was saying, of course, there's some conversations that we need to have some updated conversations around media rights and player likeness. Now that every shot is captured, we know more, and we do need to have this. And it was kind of like, well, this is what Phil was saying, but he was kind of mouthing off to an author versus kind of doing it diplomatically. So, and I'm interested to see where it goes. I don't know if it's going to last more than a year. You go to their website, we've got 2 players, Rory and Tiger. It's like, you mean the owners / key investors of this venture? It is goofy golf. I'm wonky about it, and I still won't tune in for more than maybe twice just to see what it's all about. And I'm with you.
Right. And it might be awesome. And quite frankly, if LIV gets on the, on a platform that's, just easy for me to pop on and turn on. I mean, outside of the majors, golf for me it's like background on the weekend. I'll sit down and watch the end. It's like you got to watch the end of some of these tournaments.
My wife calls it nap radio.
Yeah. It is. It's something that, we have lives, I have kids, there's stuff going on, but it's like, I like to have it on in the background. I like to check in on it. And if LIV, gets to a point where it's like that, I can just easily like flip it on and check in and instantly know what's happening. Great. If I have to decipher this, like, multicolored 3-tiered leaderboard, teams, players, what hole, where did he tee off? How many strokes is he getting? Has he taken his mulligan yet? What do we do? I don't know.
His mulligan.
Come on.
That would be something.
Eventually, they're going to do mulligans. They have to.
That would be something. But look, we're talking about moving the needle here, and so it just brings up the question, because we were talking about the President's Cup before you came on, and we did want to get your opinion on this. Is the President's Cup still as exciting for you this week, knowing that some of the guys who should have qualified for it aren't playing in it because of the whole LIV PGA stuff? Are you still going to be tuning in to the same level that you typically do for the President's Cup?
Yeah, which is not a whole lot. I mean, that assumes a baseline level of excitement for the President's Cup.
Okay.
Look, for as much golf as I know and follow, and you guys do too, let's lay it out there. It's the Opens, it's the Open Championship, the U.S. Open, the Masters, it's the Ryder Cup, and everything else for me is a conversation. Yeah, sure. PGA Championship, absolutely. President's Cup, oh, sure, that's interesting. It's not appointment viewing for me. My level of interest hasn't changed. And I think anytime you talk about like, oh, it's a route in the making, that's where you got to be real careful, because it is golf. You can be the biggest favorite in the world. It's not like the other team sucks. Compared to, I understand the U.S. team is a wagon in terms of what they've gotten there, what they're able to put out there. These guys aren't a bunch of hacks, and I think anything could happen. So it will become infinitely more compelling if you get some good matches and the scores are tight and you see something happening. But to me, the President's Cup is one of those also rans. And not to pick on anything, I put the PGA Championship in there too. It's it's the Masters, it's the U.S. Open, it's the Open Championship, it's the Ryder Cup, and just to show Olympics. I don't think I've ever watched one shot of Olympic golf. Talk about don't care. I don't care.
Well, I
can't tell you who won it, but I know that Ricky Fowler has a tattoo, and so does Lexi Thompson. That's my level of Olympic golf knowledge.
It'd be so awesome to be an Olympian. I'm happy for them. Just don't ask me to care about it. I don't care. I only have time to care about so much.
And that's exactly kind of how I am with the President's Cup, because I do all this talking and everything. I got a 2-year-old daughter. I got a grudge match with some boys on Saturday morning, so I'm going to do more time talking about the President's Cup with you all, probably tweeting about it.
Sure.
And I'll probably turn it on Sunday afternoon if it's close. If we've got this thing wrapped up by Saturday night, there's football on Sunday. Let's be honest. There's other things to do.
The whole reason why the PGA Tour changed their schedule is so they wouldn't interfere with football. That's why they moved everything on the schedule, right?
Yes.
They didn't even want to. They didn't want to interfere with college anymore. They're like, screw it. We got to be done before Labor Day weekend. We're not messing around with the NFL anymore. So the President's Cup now is week 3 of the NFL. I'm waiting to see if the Patriots get their teeth kicked in by Baltimore on Sunday. Oh, wait, hold on a second. I'll tell the guys at Patriots.com. Hey, Perillo, just 1 second here. I know we're doing a post game, but
Sung J M's about to line up a 7-footer. We gotta put a pin in this real quick.
Hold on,
Zadenhosen might be able to knock this one down.
I understand that Belichick is standing by for his press conference, but
tell him to wait.
Yeah, Terrell
has a 10-footer for bogey.
Terrell Hatton is about to make a sand save here. No, jeez. I don't think that's going to fly.
Man. Well, do you think last weekend was a fluke, or can the Pats actually get some life going and get some momentum? Or are they going to be stumbling, bumbling, fumbling for a little while?
Well, I don't know what the fluke would be. They beat a bad team by 3 points. I don't know.
I know. Was even that a fluke? Like, is it really bad, or could it get better? I'm a college football junkie and a transplant. I'm born again New England, and I come from a Michigan family. So I was one of those Tom Brady fans before I was a Michigan. So fill me in real quick. Do
you have people in Michigan? You know, I'm a Michigan State guy, so.
I noticed your Greenies jersey down there. My dad did get he went to school there as well, but
at Michigan,
he went to Eastern. He couldn't get into Michigan, but
that's the word. This is what you just summarized the worst thing about University of Michigan fans. 99% of them couldn't get into Michigan, like me. That's how I couldn't get. I went to Michigan State, which is tougher to get into now.
That's why I'm not a Michigan fan. I'm from a Michigan family. I went to Georgia. I'm a SEC snob. Let's be honest.
Oh, okay. All right. So
I'm one of those people.
No, you watch good football. Okay, I understand. It's so cute when all the Big Ten people start talking about, I think they got a chance this year. It's like why did the SEC disband? Did all those schools stop playing? No, you don't have a chance.
I want relegation. I want 5 major conferences and relegation. Let's get it going. But seriously, though,
do the Pats have a chance?
Our teeth kicked in?
I mean, absolutely they could, but I also think it's a work in progress, and I think it's they have enough requisite talent to make it it's called a representative season. You know, I don't see this team going, 5-12 like some of the doomsdayers say. I don't even think it's a 6-11 team, but I think it'd be somewhere hovering around 500, and you're going to have some some good storylines throughout the year, and it'll stay interesting. I mean, football is still king. I mean, that's why we're talking about it on a golf podcast. As long as they
win enough to give a glimmer of exactly right. Yeah. I mean, that's why we're wrapping up with football chat.
Right. Sure.
Divots and pivots.
There we go.
Stuff that actually matter. And that's why I was going, as long as there's enough winning to keep a glimmer of hope. Again, 3-13 doesn't get me to tune in. 8-8, there's that glimmer, there's that conversation as long as the math adds up, people will tune in. And that's what I'm looking for. But Lamar Jackson's so freaking good.
I know. Just to kind of bring this semi full circle, we're talking about why LIV was doing this and why someone asked me just yesterday, if the Patriots were going to be this, middling or even bad, why do they have 5 primetime games? And I said, there is a theory out there that the Patriots being on primetime games is very compelling for this massive audience out there that wants to see them fail. Yeah. You put Tom Brady and Bill Belichick the Patriots in all these primetime games when they were good, because people either loved them or loved to hate them. And it's the Jeff Gordon. It was the Michael Jordan. It was whatever. They were the favorites. You got to put them on. Who's Jeff Gordon?
I didn't say who. The Rainbow Warrior? Come on, son. I grew up.
But people hated him, though. You understand? Right. Okay.
Because he spoke clearly. He was fast. He was good. He was clean. He had a Pepsi as a sponsor.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay.
So Coke world. I got you.
So now the theory is, they gave the Patriots all these primetime games because the audience is going to eat it up if they get their teeth kicked in night after night after night after night. It's just a theory. I don't know. Float it out there.
Theory, though.
Yeah, whatever.
I like the primetime games. Back to you in the studio, Andrew.
Yeah. Well, look. Before we wrap this up, I did have one simple. I'm hoping an interesting question, because look, I was listening to your show a few weeks ago. I want to know: are you still in love with your Super Hybrid? I heard you talking about the new Callaway you got. Oh, okay. Bad question, I guess.
I love it. It just doesn't love me right now. No. I think we need to spend some quality time together. We need a couple of date nights at McGolf under the lights, just, figuring some things out. I can't hit the damn thing off a tee for the life of me.
You were so excited about it that week. You were like, "Oh, I've hit like 3 shots, some off the tee, some off the deck," and you were pumped about it.
I was. It's a missile launcher off the deck, and I was, I don't for years didn't carry anything between a 5-wood and a driver. The 3-wood to me, if I catch a 3-wood clean off the tee, it's going to go as far as the driver. So what's the point? You want something a little shorter and a little more manageable. I couldn't hit it off the deck. So I started investigating it, and I found this Super Hybrid, and I still love it off the deck. The thing, I mean, it goes. It's a nice ball flight. It's almost like a Stinger ball flight. So it's got, some real giddy up to it once it hits and runs and cooks. but I'm just snapping the bejesus out of it off the tee. It's very, very hooky. So I got to figure that out. But in love, I still love it. It's just not loving me back. That's all.
Fair enough. Look, that's some
golf. That's golf in a nutshell.
That sums up golf. That sums up my golf game at least. Bud over here is a little bit better than me. He was talking how he shot a 68 earlier before you came on. So that's Bud. Sorry, Bud.
Whoa! Bury the lead. You shot. Where'd you shoot your 68?
The Meadow at Peabody.
That's a tough course.
It was fun. They did move this is what I'm crediting it to. They moved 2 of the par 4 tees up because they were seeding the back tees. So I did get to hit from the reds on 2 of the par 4s, which did make a difference. But it's a fun track. I'm in an MTA there every other Saturday. We got the 6:10 tee time. These boys are fun. We're dew busters. They're ball busters, and we get around. We have fun. We throw a little dough at each other. And I actually lost $10 after shooting 68. So the handicap system works.
What's your index?
0.9.
Oh, I can't play golf with you.
You could, because listen, I played with a 10. I lost to a 10 and a 17. The math checks out. Me and my partner won the front. We lost the back, and it came down to 18. And is a par 5, and I lost with a birdie because the guy I was playing against made a 4-3. I mean, it kind of like, my wife is like, that's stupid. Just throw out the handicaps. If you suck, get off the course. If you can't play it, I'm like, the math works though, because on paper, I should smoke these guys, but because it all ends up coming down to it, I love playing with anybody.
That's crazy. Drew, what's your index?
13.
You and I can go play. Let's go play.
We're good.
Yeah.
I would split the difference and give a best ball of Andrew and Hardy. I would give you all 7 strokes and go do this.
I got to do the math. I don't trust your gorilla math. I don't know. It feels like I'm talking to grandma over here. I feel like Worm. Hold on a second. Wait a second. The juice is running on this. What are we doing? Best balls. All right. Well, I'll take it under advisement.
Where's lift shots?
Yeah, have your people give you a shout. What's your index? I'm making deals out here, and Hardy's going to drop like a +2.
Well, I'll give you my quick index story from the summer. Currently, let me pull it up here. I am, because I play by the rules. I'm not a rule stickler, but I count my strokes, and I do not have
the 86s and the 87 and the 85s that I'll throw out there, once in a blue moon.
Yeah, I don't have a vanity index. Let's put it that way. But I'm not a sandbagger either. Okay, I am currently sitting at. Come on, I'm waiting for my skin here to pop up. 12.8. Okay, so during the club championship this summer at my course in Sharon, the Cape Club of Sharon, they decided to add a net for the men's division this year, which they've never done. So they have the women's club championship, women's net, men's senior division, which I play in. I'm over 50, and they added a men's net. Like, great. All right. I'm playing in the senior. I go out there, and I'm around a 12 at that time, whatever. It's gone up 0.8 probably since then. I go out on the first day of the tournament, 2 rounds, medal play, Saturday, Sunday, 18 holes. I go out the first 9 holes on Saturday, 1 under, shoot a 35 on the front.
Hell yeah.
Never in my, and I asked one of the kids in the shop to loop for me that weekend, thinking like, this is going to be either the biggest hardo move of all time, or it's going to be brilliant. And through 9 holes, it's brilliant. And I'm not clanging them in off of tree limbs and they're dropping in the jar. I am fairways and greens. I birdie what I think is one of the toughest holes on the course, number 2, and I make pars the rest of the way. Word's getting around the course already. The guy playing in front of us is the 3-time senior champion at the club, defending. He's like looking back. Somehow he hears about it. He gives me a nod. The head pro, John Carbo, he takes a loop around the course because someone tells him what's going on out there. Hardy's going low. Who? Rob Poole. Hardy. He's going low. What? That guy sucks. I know, but he's 1 under through 7. Head pro gives me a nod. He drives by in the cart. I'm just like, boom, next shot.
In the zone.
We make the turn. Tee off 10. I make my first bogey of the day, but it's a long par 4, and I found a fairway bunker. I'm cool. The gauntlet is 10, 11, 12. I go bogey, par. The 13th is a short par 3. I par that. I'm standing on 14 tee box even on the day. I am having the round of my life. Kaboom! Triple.
No.
Hard 15. OB on 16. OB on 17. Limp in, shoot 80. But I'm still like 5 strokes better than my index. I'm running away with the net. I'm 1 stroke off the lead for the senior club championship. I'm like feeling it. I'm feeling it. Show up the next day, playing in the last group, make par on the first hole, bogeys for the other guys. Now I'm tied for the lead. And I've got the net all wrapped up. I can see the parking space. Men's net club championship. I get it for a whole year. Kaboom! 95.
Oh.
82. 80. 95.
That's golf.
I didn't eat for a day and a half. I was afraid. I was just, it was already coming out of every orifice, obviously. So I just, whatever. I've got it in me, though. Ask me what I did different in the second day. Ask me what I did different.
Probably nothing.
Nothing. I don't know. Same guy, same club, same caddy. I think he was a little more stoned the second day, but otherwise.
Artie, I was at the Mass Mid Amateur Qualifier down at Springfield Country Club a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
First five holes in the last 5 holes, 1 under. Middle 8 holes. Come on! 16 over.
Oh,
I had 2 balls out of bounds on a par 5 that landed me at 10. And then I had a triple and a quad. And in those like 3 holes, the guys I was playing with also fell apart. And at that point, when we hit about the 14th hole, we were all just like, well, that's that. We were like, guys going, I just want to get the F out of here. And then all of us were like 1 under, even 1 over going on the way in. And what did I do different? Nothing.
Oh my God.
But hey, there will be next year. We still got some gas in the tank, and we've got so much great golf to not watch between now and then.
There we go.
But we've got football, so there will be live
football.
I'm sorry for yammering on so much there, guys. I know we went.
No, we loved it.
Whatever.
No, we loved a great golf conversation. And that's all we want to bring. We just want to bring good golf conversation and good life conversation. So, look, thank you, Hardy, for joining us on our show.
I appreciate the invite, guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for accepting it. Look, I know I mentioned you're on Sirius, you're on 98.5, you're on Patriots.com. Obviously, is there any special projects you got coming up? Do you just want to shoot out there, or is it pretty much status quo? You can find you in all those places every day.
Yeah, I mean 10 to 2 on 98.5 the Sports Hub, and weekday mornings on Turbo, weekends Lithium, afternoons on Rock 92.9 4 to 7 p.m. You can hear me over there too, Monday through Friday. So just the new thing in radio is to be 3 places at once. So thank God for technology. Wow. I can actually make that happen. So that's pretty much it, and hopefully a lot more golf content coming to 98.5thesportshub.com this off season. We're going to do off season stuff with the guys from Core. They've been really good. I've got just great partners and people I've worked with over the years with everybody from like I said, the guys at Core Golf and Natick to Mass Golf. That they've got great content on their site, and Travis Matthew and FootJoy. And I love talking about gear, the game, the tour, like everything. Just if it has to do with golf, I'm in. I'll even listen to people tell me about working out and stretching. I'm not going to do it, but I'll listen to you. I'll have the conversation. So more of that coming, at least on the website here in the off season.
No, that's great. Yeah, you always have good guests on your show there, so definitely tune it in on Sunday mornings at the. Well,
it'll be starting up again. Right now, off season. Yeah, Masters weekend. It'll ramp up again.
Okay. Perfect. Well, when that comes around, definitely check it out on 98.5 The Sports Hub. That's going to do it for us here tonight, though. We will catch you next Tuesday, as always, on YouTube, on Twitter, on BellyUp.tv. We will see you then, and enjoy the President's Cup. Have a great night, everyone.